To hear many Ventrue tell it, Hardestadt was the most important Ventrue for 8 centuries, until his destruction by Brujah rebels led by the betrayer Theo Bell during the Convention of Prague in 2012. Hardestadt was the Ventrue founder of the Camarilla, alongside 6 peers from other clans, and Ventrue credit him with the sect's strength and survival since then. Hardestadt did not embrace many mortals, and oddly, for a Ventrue, he never confirmed his lineage back to a 4th Generation Methuselah. As far as Hardestadt was concerned, he was the be-all and end-all of the Ventrue. None who came before or after could hold a candle to his achievements. Greetings, kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome back to our world of darkness. And tonight we're going to go over the Descendant of Hardestadt Loresheet for Vampire the Masquerade tabletop. Hardestadt is a very, very integral figure when it comes to the Ivory Tower. He was the founder, at least on the Ventrue side. That's at least what we've been led to believe. There's some shady concerns when it comes to who Hardestadt really was, why Hardestadt really was, when he was embraced, who embraced him. I know a Malkavian, actually, who has gone out of his way to say that Hardestadt is plural. Investing 1 dot into this lore sheet gets you Voice of Hardestadt. Hardestadt shouted often, punctuating his remarks with fist blows to tables, walls, and unfortunate ghouls. Your blood allows you to speak over any noise and draw attention, whether in a buzzing meeting room or at a rave. Something in your voice allows others to hear you. Whether they go on to pay attention depends on what you say. This one right here, this advantage for this lore sheet does not have a mechanical benefit. This right here basically just says that nothing can drown out your voice. You will be heard, which actually is a first step into the concept in this game of gaze and focus, which is how specific disciplines, dominate, tend to work. So while there are no traits up, or this is how this works function, you cannot be drowned out. You will not be spoken over. And you have the blood of Hardestadt to thank for that. Investing 2 dots in this lore sheet gets you Supreme Leader. Hardestadt's self-confidence as a leader was in many ways his undoing, but until his final death, it saw him rise to greatness. You can convince others to follow you into deadly situations or command from the rear. And you can send subjects to their doom to better your position. Once per story, you suffer no penalty to your dice pools for sending people into danger. Again, this point of the lore sheet, there's not much to say in the line of mechanics. However, there is something to say about the concept of how danger works when using the discipline of dominate. And yes, I understand that nothing in that description said anything whatsoever about dominate. But unless you have the power Terminal Decree, which is a level 5 dominate power, people tend to be able to work their way around going into dangerous situations. This could possibly subvert that necessity, leaving you open to take other levels of dominate instead. I don't have any personal evidence or anything like that that states that this is what this means, but if you are going to be traits down on sending people into a dangerous situation while you're just sitting comfy in your overstuffed chair behind your cherrywood desk, well, this advantage is definitely going to come in handy. Investing 3 dots into this lore sheet gets you Ventrue Pillar. Due to your prestigious lineage, other Ventrue look to you for guidance. Regardless of your status with other groups, you always have 3 dots of status with Ventrue. The use of status in any situation is always going to be an important aspect of Vampire the Masquerade. Now, this lore sheet is Ventrue only. It does not specifically say Camarilla only. You could very well be playing a Ventrue that belongs to the Anarch or other groups, and in which case, whenever you're dealing with other Ventrue, you have 3 dots of status at least with Clan Ventrue. Always. And the Ventrue are, in the World of Darkness, in Vampire the Masquerade, the movers and the shakers. The people who get things done. So, as a Ventrue, status with the Ventrue may very well be the only status that really matters. Investing 4 dots into this lore sheet gets you Line to the Founders. Hardestadt ensured his entire line could reach him when endangered. He rarely answered communications unless the situation was dire, and he punished misuse severely. But his method still holds despite his death. Once per chronicle, you can call, write to, or arrange a meeting with one of the Camarilla's founders in lieu of Hardestadt. Whether they deign to respond depends upon the importance of your request. So you might not be able to get a hold of Big Grandpappy Hardestadt anymore because, well, he's incommunicado, shall we say. But the founders, there are various founders of the Camarilla who are still around. And if you don't want to bring those 5th and 6th generation vampires into your game as NPCs and have to discuss how the beckoning works, there are a few members on the Justicar Council who might be able to answer those calls. This is definitely not something that you want to use frivolously. You can only do it once per chronicle. But, that being said, if you're going to make that call, make it. Because the last thing you want to do is die with resources available. Investing 5 dots into this lore sheet gets you Hardestadt's Heir. You hold in your possession a signed document in which Hardestadt names you as his successor. You're not sure what you're the successor to. Mere wealth and power, Ventrue kingship, or even the inner circle of the Camarilla. When you take the name of Hardestadt, the document claims that the Camarilla shall march to the beat of your drum, and ensures that the Anarchs will swarm to take you down. This almost seems like a trap, depending on which sect you take. If you took this as an Anarch, I could see it as a flaw, not as a merit. This is something that could help you out immensely with whatever goals you need to do. But the moment you take it, the moment you start going by the name Hardestadt, all of your comrades in arms are just going to turn against you out of principle. taking as a Camarilla kindred who decides that they're going to lead the Camarilla into some bright, new, shining utopian empire of the Ivory Tower's magnificence. Now, basically takes you out of game, in my opinion. Unless you want to basically have a strange coterie game where you're an inner council member and they're your army of archons. In which case, eventually, I'm pretty sure the other players might get tired of listening to your voice that can't be silenced. Either way, this one right here seems like it might be a double-edged sword. So, this Loresheet, the Descendant of Hardestadt, is a very interesting, very powerful Loresheet, although there's very few mechanics attached to it, much like Hardestadt himself. I am Voivode Maquette. This is our World of Darkness, and thank you for joining me in this review of a Loresheet for the tabletop of Vampire the Masquerade. I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Good evening.